Okay, so until now we were learning about the inyan of matzah, which has to do with the whole Yeshivas Mir Pesach. Now we have a chiyuv matzah that has to do with Leil seder. Not only is there a chiyuv matzah, there's a chiyuv achilas korban Pesach, and there's achila marror. Now we have a very fascinating sentence from Rabbi Gamliel. Gamliel says that if you don't mention, you don't talk about why we eat Pesach Matza and Marror, lo yatsa yedei chayvasai. Right? Yeah. Matzah sal shalom Pesach Matza and Marror. Let's say chayvasai. What is it? Matzah Pesach al shuma. Right? Al shum she. Pesach al batei mitzrayim vas batenu hitzi. Matzah al shuma. Shlo hispek tzeikom. Right? To become chametz ad she niglei melech malchi amla kadosh baruch hu v'goala. Mar al shoma shnema v'moros chayim v'avoda kasha. Right. So he's telling you, you have to know why you're eating it. Now here's a very big chiddush, right? Lo yotzei chavos. So how many times do you have a mitzvah where if you don't know why you're doing it, you lo yotzei chavos? Right. Very strange, right? But it's not only about if you don't know why when you eat it. Shaloi omar. There's a mitzvah amira. So why is there a mitzvah to say why Pesach, why Matzah, why Marror? What's also interesting is that the reasons Rabbi Gamliel gives aren't mefurish in the pasuk. What's mefurish in the pasuk is that when your child asks you, how do we know this whole halacha, Rabbi Gamliel? It comes from the pasuk that says, "V'amartem," when you in Hilchos Korban Pesach, that Ushamartem esadavar hazel lecha ulevanecha ad olam, should keep this chayk for you and for your children forever, not only in Mitzrayim, but after you leave Mitzrayim. Vayaki savoy la'aretz asher yitan Hashem elachem kasher diber ushamartem es havoda hazois v'haya ki yomu aleichem b'neichem mahavoda hazois lachem. V'amartem zevach Pesach hu Hashem asher tpasach al batei b'nei Yisrael Mitzrayim v'nok Mitzrayim v'tzbatenu hitzia v'yikar av yishtach. Rabbi Gamliel learned from this pasuk that the way you answer the child is going to ask you about this mitzvah, and you have to explain to him why you're eating this mitzvah, and what the answer is by Pesach it's mefurish in the pasuk that because Hashem was medalig. By matzah, it doesn't say the reason. Mefurish in the pasuk. It doesn't even say the kid asked about matzah. But Tosfos is masber. It says Tosfos in Pesachim, I think it's Kuf Yud Beis, Kuf Yud Daled. It says that al matzah sabroim yachluhu, that whatever you have a mitzvah of by Pesach, the same thing you should do by Matza and Marror. So the mitzvah is a way of answering your child's question. You give him toichen on the mitzvah of Pesach that Hashem jumped over. What is the toichen of Matzah? It doesn't say in the pasuk, but we know that the Metzias is they ate Matzah, and the pasuk says why? Because they didn't have time to eat the Matzah because it went so fast. And it doesn't say the reason for Marror, but Seichel is Vayamaru is Chayim, right? That's why we have Marror. So what's he saying? Why is this part of the answering the children's question? In other words, the Yotzei Chavasai Gamliel, the Rishonim explain which chayv are not Yotzei. You're not Yotzei the chayv of the Sipur. In other words, Pesach, Matzah, and Marror hold a value in having a better version of the Sipur. People are experiential. And in order for us to have a full experience of a Sipur, we not only have the words, we also have props. And in order for people to really experience what happens, we try to put people in the energy. Hashem wants us to put in the experience the same way they experience, we also experience. So we're eating Korban Pesach. It's reminiscent of the experience of everybody sitting in their house, and it comes Chatzos, and the neighbor is screaming, and the neighbor is screaming, and we're totally fine. And we're eating the matzah. You know, we're eating the matzah because kindalach. The matzah, it happened so fast. You couldn't make chametz out of it. And we're eating more because you see this bitterness in your mouth, that it was bitter. It's all ways of experiencing more. But what this teaches you is the way the geula happens. Hashem, we know that Nisan is this man of geula, of shichra, right? Is a man of cherus, right? So how does cherus happen? How do you tap into the energy that all exists in the world? Hashem tells us the secret is tell about Yesivas Mitzrayim. But not only tell about Yesivas Mitzrayim, it's telling you with a question and an answer. It's precipitated by a child, right? That's why the beginning of the seder is Ma Nishtana. Because the mitzvah of Yesivas Mitzrayim, Hashem told us over where? V'yigarata libincha b'yom hahu. In other words, I want to get cherus. I want to get cherus. Comes to the Lila Seder, how do I want to get cherus? Have a conversation with your son. What do you tell your son? Tell your son a story. A Haggadah. Right? You tell them the lashon of lechem oini. Lechem she'oinim olav dvorim harbe. Lashon of aniyah. What does aniyah mean? It means answer. Like we say, Chazal were mekabel, probably from the lashon of lechem oni, that the way to tell the story, the best way to tell the story is to use the version of the story that what Hashem told us to say over in Pashas Bikurim. Right? If you notice, the Haggadah starts off with Manishtana. It explains to you the choiva of what it means. How do you teach children? Chacham, Rasha, Zeh, right? It's poischim be ginus, which is avodah mayim lepara mitzrayim, or mitzchilu of the avodah zara. And the ikar part of the Haggadah, which many people don't even get to because they're so tired of saying the Frivetelach, that they finally run to the Haggadah because they have to eat the Nafikam for Chatzos, right? The main part of the Haggadah is in Parshas Kisavoy, when Hashem says, bring Bikurim, right? And what do? You bring the Bikurim to Mizbeach, and Nisa v'amarta l'Hashem l'fnei Hashem Elokecha, Arami oived avi v'yer Mitzrayim v'yagon Shem v'sei ma'at. It's Chazaras Ashir of the whole story, and it's lashon of answering. Which means if you want to answer something, you have to have a question. So what's teaching you? How do you have cherus? First, you have to ask questions. You have to be bothered. But what's going on here? Well, what's this new situation? What are we doing? What is this new life that you're talking about? Why is this even better? Well, why is it? Why? Who said it's better to be in this way? Maybe it's this way. You have to ask questions. And the answer to the questions, Yetzias Mitzrayim wasn't just an experience. Everybody I think can relate to the fact that Yetzias Mitzrayim, the way the Sfarim say it over, and I'm not saying it's not true. It's very true. That it's a beer of emunah, right? That we see Hashem is controlling the teva, and he's schar v'oinesh, and all of these things are extremely true. But how many of you really, in your day-to-day life, think about these type of things? Can Hashem really make dam into water into dam? I don't think in this generation anyone is struggling with that problem. All right, yes, okay, fine. We already see scientists can do all kinds of stuff. So yeah, okay, big deal, right? And even the idea of hashgacha pratis, that I don't think most of us think about Hashem. I think the opposite. I don't think most of us think Hashem is not here, not paying attention. We think he's too much here, like a demon, right? Watching everything you do and punishing you for every single tiny thing you do, right? So that isn't what you see is trying.
Because he's a demon, but then he also doesn't care when I'm actually suffering.
Same thing, because he's a demon. But other doesn't notice. You're like, good, you made a chet, now you should suffer, right? That's a lot.
I don't know if most people are quite that dramatic.
I'm making lights on this, but I'm saying the struggles that we have, Yetzias Mitzrayim, are not necessarily the same struggles that you might have read in the Rishonim or what people often say, right? Mm-hmm. But you have to realize that if you're talking about cherus for yourself,
we turn off the music? Sorry, it's just a call.
Can you turn that off?
Thank you, Zisha.
So, if we're talking about freedom and slavery, what is the main element that causes people to be stuck in a certain way?
Getting comfortable. Fear?
Fear is an emotion. Comfortable has a reason. Why is it comfortable? Is it comfortable to be enslaved?
No, but you stop thinking of how to get out of it, and you just.
Why?
That's what you know. So.
That's what you know. This is you believe. This is it. Ich bin an Eved. I have no choice. This is the way my life is. I'm gonna have to run all day to make money. I'm not gonna make money. People don't treat me right. That's the way it is, right? People leave me. I have a whole belief system about the way the world is, and that's it. And I don't like it this way. Inside, I'm crying about it. There's a very big difference between crying about something, right, from a place of yiush, like I wish it was different, but it's so sad that the way it is, or screaming out and saying, I absolutely can't take this anymore. It must change right now. The difference is tikva. So the main emunah that we need for the Sipur Yetzias Mitzrayim, what's relevant to our generation, is the fact that it was 210 years, it was completely madud, it was completely exactly the way it's supposed to be, and the second they were supposed to get out, they needed to get out, and he was paying attention to every single detail, and there was nothing that was extra. And everything that was happening is mida kedeged mida, which means there's a value in every single thing. That's one of the main emunas that we need to be having in Yeshiva Mitzrayim. In other words, my point is, by telling over the story, by questioning what is going on here, you're going to find things about what's bothering you in the story, and the answers you're going to give to yourself and to your child, right? Either the child means the children you practically have, or the child means the small part in yourself, like they call it the inner child nowadays in psychological terms, right? The part that has this bothers me, shouldn't be this way, this what's going on over here. By asking these questions means you're not accepting the fact that the way it is, it shouldn't be this way. And then you can have an answer. Because until you ask a question, you can have no answers. So when we tell over the story, we ask questions, and the story, we're trying to take the belief systems, the emunos, the chidushim about life that are nichlal in the Sipur Mitzrayim. And Sipur Mitzrayim has many, if Hashem telling us a mitzvah every single year to go through the story, that means inherent to this story is the recipe to change a person's belief systems, to pull them out of their own personal slavery. And the more we can experience it on an experiential level, that's why we have props. We have a Korban Pesach, we have Matza, we have Marror, that enhance the story, right? And then not only do we have them present, and we mention that, right? But then you eat them, which means that you are also experiencing you're putting inside of your body, and your senses are getting in touch with whatever you spoke about. That's why it's called lechem matzah she'oinim olav dvarim harbe. The halacha is the matzah that you eat for the mitzvah's matzah has to be on the table, uncovered during the magid. In other words, you're zapping all of these concepts into your food, right? For example, let's say you wanted to make something a superfood, right? So you went to the Baba Sali and he gave a bracha on it. Says the tzaddik should give a bracha on the food. So he puts his hands on it and he draws from who knows where, ein soif, and he puts on the food. Like, everybody wants this. Now they sell the Baba Sali water all over the world, right? Okay, this is God's food, right? And he takes all of these emunas that he put into the Sipur Mitzrayim, and to the degree that you're questioning and answering and having chidushim and saying, wow, I just learned something over here, you put that into your food, right? And then you ingest that food. And it makes the story much more real. And when you see a story, when you watch a movie, right, it sticks with you for years, right? How do my kids know the Yetzias Mitzrayim happened? How do your kids know? How do you know Yetzias Mitzrayim happened? Because your father told you, right? The better version he did telling you, more alive the story is, the better it goes inside of your bones, and the more impact it has on changing your life. But the way it changes your life is to understand, what does it mean? Why is this happening? What is it coming to teach me about my own life? What is it coming to teach me about Am Yisrael? And what is it coming to teach me about, for example, one huge lesson the Matzah teaches us. How long does it take to have spiritual shift? How long does it take to go from Avdus to Cherus? One night. There's no time. Then you're free. In other words, really, 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 they say this all over the world, but a time that a person shifts is instantaneous. As soon as they get something and they really get it a certain way, they're a different person. They go on. They still have hismoidus in life because there's still a hergel inside of them they have to fight. But the change, the inside is different.
Is the real system is being that you create yourself at every moment?
Of course you do, because you have your belief system.
I don't know what that means. So I'm sitting here in this moment.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we spoke about that. Let's say you're feeling weak, right?
Okay.
Right? Or you're not feeling well. You say, I'm sick. You're saying, I need more energy. Feel the words, right? I'm sick. Say, I need more energy.
I'm in bed.
Right? What happened? What did you just do? The place that you express that from is called an emunah. The words that you used are the ability to create. That's like the Sarah and Mars created the world. You put that energy into the world now. So you are constantly creating yourself. Some in huge versions.
I know what you mean. Somebody's leg is hurting him.
Mm-hmm.
No, my leg's hurting me.
Right. Your leg's hurting you. Okay.
Okay.
I need to find the solution to the pain in my leg. There's something. It's really strange. My leg is hurting me. What happened? Oh, I'm in so much pain. My leg hurts me all the time. Feel the difference in the words.
Yeah, you know.
By the way, that's one of the pnimius of lo yira lecha chametz. Right? The pasuk says lo yira lecha chametz. So Chazal darshan, it should be shalcha. You can see someone else's chametz, right? Baal Shem Tov says something deeper. He says, Lo yira lecha chametz, lecha iyataroya, v'ataroya shel acherim. You can see a guy's chametz.
That is okay?
Yeah. Why? It's very simple why. It's actually a machlokes hapoiskim.
Should be able to see other people's chesronot?
1 second. The machlokes hapoiskim if you can see a Jew's chametz.
Okay.
If a Jew owns it, am I over Bal Yirah? Some say it's not yours. Some say, yeah, it's not the guy's. They're very deep machlokes, right? In other words, when a different Jew has chametz in his environment, does that mean it's in my environment or not? A guy is a totally different environment. They're supposed to eat chametz. They're supposed to have an avela. That's good for them. It's not a problem for them. So it's a different environment. But in a Jewish environment, chametz doesn't belong. So how much am I connected? Is my environment include somebody else? Machlokes hapoiskim, halacha l'maisa. How far? I think it's machlokes and pnimi is how much you are connected to other Jews. But what the Baal Shem Tov says that the point of the pasuk is not only telling you shouldn't have your own chametz. It's coming to tell me that all the chametz that you see outside of yourself is lecha. In other words, you create your own reality. So if you see things in the world, it's coming from you. If you notice, you pick up on certain people's bad mitos. So, you ever had a situation where someone does something really, really it makes you upset?
Yeah.
Okay? If you look carefully inside, why is that?
Because you resonate.
It's called shemetz mineo.
It's called what? Shemetz mineo. Yeah.
Shemetz what?
Shemetz is a part of him that's in him. Right? Now you have to wonder how much you created with your re'iyah. In other words, if you assume that you're going to see bad stuff, right, then you probably will. Because you're creating with your belief system. There's people in the world who do that. Why do you have that belief system?
No, that's going too far.
Why?
There are going to be some secular people who have chametz. Am I likely to see them? I don't know. Probably not. honesty, but I'm saying, am I likely to engage them? Probably not. I don't know.
If you're in a happy mood,
Yeah.
okay, and you see people are amazing and beautiful and great,
Yeah.
you think you're going to run into people who are acting like jerks?
Yeah.
So I'll tell you a secret.
I'm less likely to run into
Even in the psychology world, they say, the energy you makrin outside moves people. Now they'll be in a better mood just because you're in a good mood.
That's true.
Right?
I really see that.
Right? So it means the fabric of reality is one. Wherever you put yourself, you're putting the world in. And wherever the extent of your world.
But still, it's not like you can't ever do it. It's one, as we discussed, it's one important factor. It's not the only thing.
Right, 100%. But there's something there about, even if it's not, I wouldn't say you're causing it.
The Corona Hotel with mamish the biggest degree of curiosity and readiness, and I'm just so curious and excited for whatever this quarantine experience is going to bring. I'm really in such a great mind space. Shem Yerachem on the poor guy who probably he's like one of those soldiers, like the most miserable person. You wonder if there's somebody who there's got to be someone somewhere who loves you, but refuses to smile. You know that kind of person. The kind of guy you expect working in the Israel Frenkel. It was a study for me. Try as I might, I don't think I succeeded in getting him to smile. I couldn't.
Right, so you can't go out of control with this, but there is a point where it's really Hashem is showing you this for a reason, because there's a part of you.
The truth is, I wonder if I did manage to get him to smile in the end. Maybe I didn't see it.
No, but I'm going the other way.
Yeah.
The fact that there's someone in your life that you have to make smile, you have to check inside of yourself.
I don't think it was.
Do you have to work hard to make yourself smile?
It didn't bother me seeing when I'm sad. Interesting.
I heard that if you get emotional from it, it means that it's in you. But if you, the opposite, you have Rahmanis on the person, that means that Hashem shows you should help. Everything is
Yafeh.
This is the Chabad spirit emphasis.
Very nice. Very nice. Being ma'azeh in these words of the Baal Shem Tov. Making it balanced. Very nice. Because it's obvious, you're right, it's to say that sometimes shows different situations in the world because people need help. It's clear. Right?
Well, I don't even feel angry at the person, who at a certain level, just like, okay, most human beings are not there. I don't even, it doesn't even personally, I don't think you're a bad person for being in this space anymore. I just think you must have been so messed up that you had to go there. It does get to a certain point that you give the person credit for that. Now really you should be at that point with all people, ideally.
So the point is that Leil HaSeder is a way for us to relate to a story that has in it a lot of belief systems that we need to shift on. But the more we put energy in the story, with asking our own questions and finding our own answers, right? We're asking, let's put it more duyak. The simple part of ourselves, or the simple people, will ask questions, and the more we try to give them answers that relate to their level. Because oftentimes you have parts of yourself that ask questions, and you can give a convoluted answer, right? You ever had that where you go to somebody, ask a really simple question, and the guy has a whole drosha about who knows what, right? And it's like, you didn't speak to me at all, right? So, in order to speak, that's why the halacha is you have to speak kol ben lefi ma'ashahu. Every issue that you bring to yourself, it needs a certain language and a certain complexity. How do you deal with the situation? So the answers of Leil HaSeder are in tune with the level of the question. So you have many, many questions. So you have many different types of questions. Simple questions, complicated questions, questions of real anger, like Ma avodas lechem. I don't even want to leave Mitzrayim. They're all at the Leil HaSeder. Even the Rosh is the Leil HaSeder, right? The party that says I don't like this whole thing b'chol. And the answers are all in Mitzrayim. Like, for example, the Rish's question. What's he saying? Afhake eshinov. And if you were lo nigal, right? What does that mean? It means you're holding yourself to a place that you're blocking the geula. Because you're in such a negative space, you're not open to receiving, you're just fighting, you're going to block yourself from all the gifts of the geula. Right? So there's all kinds of messages that we have within the Leil HaSeder. But the secret Hashem is teaching you is tell the story. make the story as much as alive that you can all of the messages about the beliefs that he's trying to put into the world, those beliefs are the secret to Cheres. Because in the end of the day, all of your shi'abud, all of our not being true to ourselves, is because we are stuck in certain belief systems that limit who we really are. And the last important message that we always must have is you have to embrace the negativity. There's nothing in our life that is extra. So if Hashem sends 210 years of galus, in a very bitter galus, you can be super angry the whole time. And you can say, why, I don't deserve this, what's going on? My grandparents, Rav Yitzchak and Yaakov, I was so good, and what's all this stuff happening over here, right? And then you can be in a situation of fighting, and you would never eat the maror. You would never actually decide to put it inside of yourself, because I don't want anything to do with this. I actually reject this whole experience. And what Hashem is teaching you is that if you put the maror with the Pesach, which means you realize that the relationship before you made any reasons for Yisurim was already a relationship of love. It was already a relationship of connection. You're totally his. Number one. And he's going to take you out, doesn't make a difference. Not because you're a tzaddik, not because you did bris milah, not because you were over, he's still taking you out. And within that context, there's the maror, Matza and Marror yochlu. Within that context, it's a healthy way to eat the maror. If you lose that context, and you don't have Korban Pesach nowadays, which means you're not really chazak in the emunah that Hashem is really with you, then it's misukan to eat the maror. So in the Torah, there's no way to eat the maror. Chachamim obviously were attacking it, and they obviously felt that either it's so important to experience the story that it's worth it, but I think even deeper than that is the Chachamim, they were able to, with the matzah mitzvah of maror, they were believing Klal Yisrael that we can. We're not going to require somebody. It's not going to require somebody to deal with the maror if they don't have the refuah of the Korban Pesach. But you could eat the maror. The
maror is not the rice anymore.
No, maror is not the rice when there's no Korban Pesach. Right. So you could eat the maror. In other words, Chachamim are always getting to the point of a mitzvah. He wasn't requiring it. What did he really want us to do? He really wanted us to eat the maror, but he wasn't going to require it in a situation where we don't have Korban Pesach. But since they understood that was the kavanah, that we should eat the maror, so they'll say they took it upon ourselves. We're going to eat the maror, even though we don't have the whole help of the Korban Pesach, because we want to do the point. We want to...
Is there a reason to not combine it with meat?
Maror, you're not allowed to with anything, because you can't mevatel tam maror.
No. Wait, that doesn't make sense.
What?
If you can have it with Pesach, what I'm wondering is if can you have it with meat so that you have at least some zecher. I know it's not done. I'm just wondering if it's. I'm
pretty sure. Look up the sugya again. That's the homachlokes between Hillel and the Chachamim. If you eat it with something else, it's mevatel the tam maror.
Wait, but the Pesach isn't.
What?
Pesach isn't. Whilst you're looking that up, I appreciate you looking that up. I'm going to take 30 seconds to set three reminders.
Man shamas le mitzvahs in mevatel sumizu the Tanya Hillel. In other words, the Chachamim, it's very complicated over here in the sugya, Balamor and the Ramban. What's the problem if you eat them together, right? But for example,
what together? What's the sugya?
The Korban Pesach. How do we do the mitzvah nowadays? We eat matzah, we eat maror, and then we eat korach.
Okay, good.
Why? Because we don't want to eat the matzah with the maror. We don't want to eat the matzah with anything else, because we want to have just the tam of maror. Hillel, tam of maror, tam of matzah.
Okay.
Hillel held that they won't mevatel each other, so we eat them all together. So we do both.
Then why don't we also add meat to the korach stage?
And not only that, halacha lamaisa. What do you do when you dip it in the charoisas, right? You have a charoisis in order to remember the zecher latit,
Right.
and that's one of the reasons. But you shake it off. Why do you shake it off?
To stay with the time.
Salam and Talmud Gemara. In other words, we're actively not trying to minimize the pain.
Oh, I didn't know the part of shaking it off. I knew the part about dipping it in, and usually you dip it in real deep so that you... so not too intense tomorrow.
Exactly.
So I
So
really want to go for an intense Mara experience. No Ashkenazi cheap ass.
but what does that teach you, right? How many times in your life, what do people do when they
I want
have,
to embrace pain. It's important to me.
right? Most of addiction is built on the fact that you want to escape experiences.
Yeah.
And after watching many, many people heal, one of the best ways for a person to heal in a broken relationship, let's say for a person who was in a relationship that didn't give the proper love or the proper respect from their parents, from their teachers, from whatever it is, the going through the experience of having the pain of the distance of not having that relationship and validating that to the point at which you're able to say, no, I want this, I need this, and you're able to say it with strength, it only comes through deeply feeling the pain, and the power that you have after you felt that pain in knowing you deserve it is the refuah. In other words, if a person runs away from pain, right, then they can't develop the antibodies to the opposite of pain. It doesn't know refuah.
No, what you mean. You're saying something deeper than stop following.
In other words, every situation you're in, the Yisurim, what are they coming to do for you? They're coming to teach you something. What are they coming to teach you? Mida keneged mida. Whatever mida you were missing that allowed you to get into this negative situation, right? Now, through the pain, it will give you this mida.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, embracing the pain and let it move you forward and let it teach you things. What we'll do is we'll teach you and bring you to the place that you were missing that caused the problem lechatchila. So one of the ways that I've seen this in my life is that people in relationships, when they weren't treated properly, right? So they didn't get love. And they end up living life from those type of midos, because that's what they were taught. But the pain inside of themselves and the lack of that love, lack of that respect, makes them crazy. To the point of which if they really follow that pain, they will not allow that midah to be inside of them. It's not okay for a parent to not treat his child with love. It's not okay for a parent to throw their child out of the house. It's not okay for a parent to ignore their child. It's wrong. I deserve to be treated with love. I deserve to be paid attention to. The fact that you went through that pain and got to that place where it's wrong is the refuah. And then your entire life, you will do differently to other people and to yourself because you experienced that pain. That's an example of how pain, how living the maror, will bring you to refuah. But it's only if you're willing to trust the process that everything that is in the world always brings to healing. Every negative thing is just a block of tov. So you go through the process, eventually it'll destroy itself and bring it back to tov. It'll take away the block. So that's the emunah when we have achilas maror, right? That we're eating maror, we're including in the story, not pretending it. You ever seen the Gedolim books, right? Where they leave out all the bad parts, right? Leaving out the bad parts means that you assume that it's not part of the story, it's not a valued part of the story, right? We put it in the story. Every detail of the shibud is part of the story. Why? Because that was the midah keneged midah that brought the geula. Klal Yisrael had to go through that. They had to have the refuah of the midos that put them in the gullus of Mitzrayim. And that the cave took them out of those midos. So we always eat the maror. And even when we're not mechuyev to eat the maror, we still eat the maror. Because we know that's what kavan of Hashem is, to give us the maror, remember that part of the story, and learn the midos, the emunah that comes from that part of the story. Right? We were there for 210 years. The whole world, since Adam Rishon, was in a place of chet. That the Shechina went Sheva Rakim Lamala. Rav Vind brought down, right? Slowly. But there was a very not expressed version of Hashem. When Hashem is in the world is malei tov, malei happiness, malei pleasure, right? But it's being blocked. So we have an Ummah comes, 210 years in Mitzrayim, 49 days later, they're having the biggest Gilu Shechina that ever was in the history of the world, that if they would have let it continue, they would have had no more death in the world. Now,
So why wasn't it continued?
because we made Chet HaEgel. We chose not to continue it.
Oh.
But what I'm saying is, if you take a perspective of 210 years, right, the level of the world changing completely to Tova, was it worth those 210 years? All of the Geula Asida, right? All of the Olam Haba is built on the fact that there's Gilu Shechina in the world. Gilu Shechina couldn't happen unless Am Yisrael went to Mitzrayim, because there was a block. So was it worth it? When we finish this whole process of coming back to Eretz Yisrael, and Mashiach is here, and Malchus Hashem is in the whole world, and the whole world is Shefa and Tov, we'll look back at the Holocaust and say, wow, that was really painful. You know what? It made all of this.
I can say from my personal experience, pain helped me reflect on life to realize that I need to change my life into a better thing. I wouldn't have realized it with the life I was living before I got into where life led me. So yeah, it was worth it. It is worth it.
That's the point of eating more. Not to run away from the pain. You know, in chinuch, I don't know, you haven't have children yet, but there's a very big Western ideology that you should give your responsibility to give your children is joy and happiness and you know, pleasure. That's your responsibility as a parent. Which becomes really, really difficult when the kid is like, you know, a para adam, and his hygiene is terrible, and his manners are terrible, and he destroys your, you know, he may embarrass you in public, and it's like, and he, you know, he has this issue and this issue, right? And it's not worth, and he has this struggle, and it's like life stuff, right? You get older, you realize that's not your job. Your job is to grow your children, be a help for them to grow, and the place they grew the most, the place that you grew the most, was in the difficult places.
Okay, but 1 second. But then also you want to give your children a real experience of the world is good with caring parents who are rooting for you.
That's part of the experience. That's why besides the Marror, we also eat the Korban Pesach, which is the simon of Geula. And we eat the Matzah. By the way, the Matzah is a different type of Geula, because the Matzah depends on Masa Adam. We earned the Geula because we made sure it wasn't machmitz. The Pesach, Hashem, we had to participate, right? But whether or not, you didn't make, Hashem decided if you're going to die or live. But you decide if it's chametz or matzah. So we have chametz, which means a geula that we created. We have Pesach, it's a geula that Hashem is munach in the bria, and we eat it with the Marror. The world is beautiful and amazing, and there's a lot of you should appreciate every single time. And even when the hard things come, you should know it's part of the Pesach and the Matzah. Okay, so we've discussed now the point of Pesach, Matza and Marror, and Leil Seder. What did you learn from all this?
Well, the good has to comes with the bad. It's okay to feel the pain. You should feel it.
I'm deeply inspired to when I teach the story, to share over the lessons that I learned from it. the things that it taught me about the world and my belief systems.
And I really feel Marror could be, could be really, the idea that pain, the specific pains we experience, teach us what we need to learn to build a shchina that is actually shaveh for us in the long run, is very profound, and I want to do what I can to embrace Marror for real.
You can't say to somebody.
I'm also feeling really sad about the whole Pesach situation. I want Pesach, no fair.
That's great. Like we said before.
I don't have enough time engaging my essence as it is. To just have pain and matzah, which is work, without the experience of like, okay, but your essence is awesome. I was like, and I remember you teaching that the want brings that, and that wasn't the way it was always. And I appreciate that teaching. It's just still annoying. I still want that.
Good. Should be annoying as hell, and then you'll get the geula.
I'm gonna run.
Okay.
Rabbi, Tadar for your teachings. Really, I'm sorry for cutting this short. I know that you came especially.